Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another beautiful week of StarCraft 2. Today, it's the Monday over here in the Netherlands. I just rolled out of bed. We're starting off the week with a match of Zerg versus Protoss. Now, this particular ZVP is played between a couple of players that I haven't featured on the channel very often. So first off, let's get started by introducing them, because spawning here in the bottom right-hand corner of Blackburn in this rather long game of Zerg versus Protoss, we have Rex. And his opponent in the opposite, well actually, I autopiloted, in the bottom left-hand corner of Blackbird, playing with the blue Protoss probes. We are looking at Nice's main Nexus. Alrighty, so basically what ended up happening, right? Like about a month or so, maybe a month and a half or so ago, both the TSL 7 replay pack as well as the DreamHack Masters summer event, they all wrapped up, they released their replay pack, and I ended up casting a ton of those games, just because, you know, they're the highest level replays that I could find, and some of my absolute favorite players played in those events. And because of that, I feel like I was repeating the same, I don't know, 12 or so players over and over and over again. Basically the top 12 in StarCraft 2 in the world right now. I casted tons of their games just because, obviously, it's my goal to bring you the highest level StarCraft that I can find. However, there's obviously a lot of other players that play this game as well. And these two, I don't think I've casted... Actually, I don't think I've ever casted a game of Rex on this YouTube channel before. He's one of those names I have seen in many qualifiers. I've seen him in many ESL Cups. I've seen him in many smaller online tournaments as well. His name seems to always be there in the replay packs. He doesn't, generally speaking, tend to win them. So, you know, I don't want to be mean, but he doesn't seem to make it oftentimes past like the round of 4 or so. So oftentimes he is in like the round of 8, round of 4, and then he seems to get eliminated by one of those other top tier players that is in the top 12. Either way, we'll find out exactly how good he is currently. So both of these players, by the way, are from Taiwan. Interestingly enough, when it comes to like, for example, DreamHack Masters, right? Which is like the premier event right now in StarCraft 2. The way it works is that there's different regions that they have split up the world into. And then there is a season finals a couple times a year as well. So the way it works is that there's, for example, like a Chinese qualifier. There's a European qualifier. There's a Oceania qualifier. There's a Latin America qualifier. There's a couple of different ones. And this one is, or these two players rather, they participate oftentimes in the Asian qualifier, which is a scene I don't really follow because apparently Asia does not include, at least in this event, China and Korea. So, yeah, obviously there's some really good Chinese players out there in StarCraft 2. There's especially a lot of very good Koreans. But this is basically from all of the other countries that are over in, you know, in Asia, and that doesn't include China and Korea. Anyways, they always duke it out. Like, these two players, they always duke it out in that particular region of the world. But there's also, for example, like the Latin America version of StarCraft, or like the Latin American scene that I personally don't really follow nearly as often as I probably should. Either way, we'll find out exactly what ended up going down right here in this particular game. These two players, by the way, they have like their own version of like Clem versus Raynor going on, because if I had a quick little peek, right, at the amount of games that they have played in total. They have faced off in 59 tournament matches against each other in a grand total of 164 maps. Now, the majority of them did go in favor of our Protoss player here. But yeah, it is definitely worth noting that they have faced off against each other many, many, many times. Because of that, I think it's going to be very difficult to do any tricks. It's probably going to be difficult to grab an easy win, if that makes any sense. Either way, looks like we have a very standard opener so far. 3 minutes and 50 seconds or so on the Nexus is standard. You can see that Nice right here is a little bit later. I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe he made a couple of slip-ups, or he went for like one additional pylon a little bit sooner. I'm not 100% sure. Either way, he's going to be able to plant that Nexus down at a reasonable pace. Third hatchery has now been planted down as well in the natural expansion. Rex was forced to go for the one a little bit further up north first. So we'll see. So far, this seems like a very standard game of StarCraft 2. I don't really know exactly what to expect from these. So, generally speaking, when it comes to like the grand finals of most of those events that I was talking about, it seems to more often than not be Nice versus Haas. And those games are just wild, because obviously Haas kind of always forces the games to go the distance. So I've seen quite a few of those games where Nice is playing against Haas. However, I don't really know exactly how he responds against someone who is you know, more conventional with their approach of StarCraft 2. Haas is not afraid to mix it up, right? Plant a couple gateways on the other side of the map, go for some 100 probe pushes as well. There's definitely a little bit of variety in immense play, but so far this looks very standard. So it's going to be a double Stargate follow-up. Roach Warren at a conventional time here as well for Rex. If he wanted to, he could definitely go for a queen push, but he did already go for the lair. Doesn't mean he can't go for the queen push, but generally speaking, yeah, he's still droning. Generally speaking, if we're going to go for a queen march towards the other side of the map, which is pretty good on this map, usually you pull that off without the lair and with a couple less workers and without this much gas as well. So I think that Rex is actually going to take the macro approach, which immediately scares me a little bit, okay? The Skytle's armies are dangerous, but maybe Rex is one of the players who can actually deal with it. So far, his defense seems to be on point. He goes for the Spire. Very quick Spire. Only 2 workers have gone down so far. Ooh, okay. So we're going Evo Chamber, Bailing Nest, Roach Warren, and Spire. That's quite a lot. Our Protoss right here, transitioning towards, well, a Robo Facility. But I'm pretty sure that Robo Facility is mostly just going to be there for things like Warp Prisms and maybe some, I don't know, some observers and all that, right? Because if you go for the double Stargate at this point, usually when there's smoke, there's fire. You're going to end up going for more Stargate units. And I think that this +1 flyer upgrade right over here indicates the same thing as well. Looks to me like the man wants to go and make a lot of Void Rays. Maybe some carriers. Don't block your own gold. That happens every once in a while where you end up blocking your own gold expansion with a creep tumor. Not ideal, believe it or not. He has already gone for the force base as well. Yeah, so we're just droning. Okay. So a very macro-focused start. Bailing speed and +1 melee. Okay. Obviously, we saw DRG going for the +1 melee not that long ago, right? Where he was facing off against the Protoss player as well in a previous video that I uploaded. And as soon as he scouted that it was Stargate, he decided to go straight into the +1 melee upgrade, which makes very little sense. Until you think about it a little bit more, you can really abuse that immobility of that Skytle's army quite well. And obviously, generally speaking, the Skytle's army is really only like a handful of units, a few dozen units at most, because they're all very supply heavy. It can be difficult for the Protoss to be in all of the places at the right time. So maybe that's what Rex wants to do as well, although the static defense is already coming up right here. Nice is, yeah, turtling up very nicely, right? Making it so that it's going to be very difficult for the opponent to break through this. Robo Bay coming up as well. I love it. For a while there, we saw Skytles together with High Templar. That was the common thing to do in, like, the first 10 years of StarCraft 2. More recently, however, it's become very popular to go for Disruptors instead of High Templar. Now, obviously, Disruptors are an anti-ground unit. So they're very good against ground units, but they're not so strong against air because they can't hit them at all. Whereas High Templar with their Sonic Storm, they hit both air as well as ground. Hive comes up, +1 flyer upgrades come up. I mean, we are just in for a solid, straightforward macro game. And this, I've said it many times before, but as a Zerg player, this makes me a little bit anxious, okay? Because I have been in this scenario that Rex is in so many times. And at this point, after like years of failing and never being able to win, I've just mostly given up. Like, I have gone for hyper-aggressive strategies in the earlier to middle stages of the game because it just simply seems to be the better approach if you want to win. I don't really know exactly how comfortable Rex is playing the late game, but we'll find out, man. It's funny, though, because if you, like, watch, for example, someone like Dark playing the late game of Protoss versus Zerg, he absolutely makes it like look like the Protoss Skytle's army isn't even a good unit composition. Like, he absolutely murders it and trashes it, so we'll see. So far, looks like Nice is doing a great job, or a nice job, rather. Haha! He's doing a great job right here, just pushing back the creep tumors, making sure that Zerg is not going to be able to advance too quickly. One problem that can sometimes arise, especially when Zerg is going for this, like, Corruptor Queen-based army, is that they go for a ton of creep tumors and then a ton of, like, spore crawlers as well. And they basically just march the spore crawlers to the front of the Protoss base. And that is something that is quite strong and that can definitely do a lot of damage. So I like what Nice is doing here. Just pushing back that creep, trying to make sure that it doesn't advance too quickly. We might even be able to go after the base if he wants to. The queens are close by. Yeah, Corruptors are also in a good position. Greater Spire at the 9-minute mark. Vipers coming up. A couple of Infestors as well. So, Rex is just gonna go full Spellcaster. The ultimate anti-air units for Zerg, generally speaking, are Spellcasters and Structures. Which is always a little bit funny. But if you can micro-fungal growth and parasitic bombs and, you know, abductions and transfusions and all that perfectly, Zerg actually has formidable anti-air, and that's exactly what Dark does. Dark's very good at controlling all of those Spellcasters all at once. Generally speaking, what the Protoss player is aiming for at this stage in the game is just to max out on Carriers, Void Race, and then either High Templar and Disruptors. They can definitely supplement this army as well with, for example, Tempest. They can go for a few Oracles as well if they want to go for the Tempest, for that Revelation ability. But they're basically trying to just secure as many bases as possible while slowly trying to get that maxed out Skytools force. So there's the Disruptors. The Disruptors here are good because they can negate a lot of Hydra transitions. So, for example, you know, when it comes to like main anti-air units, Zerg obviously has the Corruptor, but also the Hydralisk. And Disruptors are really, really good against that Hydra-based army, if you can get them in the middle of the Hydra clump, that is. Either way, it doesn't look like that is the approach that Rex is going for here at all. He's going to go Neuroparasite as well for the Infestors, so he can take control of his opponent's units. And I also, there it is, see this upgrade right over here. We can play a little bit of StarCraft 2 trivia again. Let me know down below in the comment section what this upgrade right here is called for the Tempest. So, this always, it's a good upgrade. It's a very nice upgrade. We don't actually see it that often, but I feel like it's almost critical in the late game. Basically, it makes the Tempest shoot like little golden balls at opponent structures. So their air-to-air attack remains the same, but their air-to-ground attack against structures deals like twice as much damage. So it's really good, especially if your opponent is going for a lot of these Spore Crawlers, because you can like send in the Oracles, hit a Revelation on these structures, and then use the Tempest to pick them off from a distance. And then with this research, they will deal a lot more damage. But I don't really like the graphic of it, because it doesn't really feel very StarCrafty to me. It always looks like a Warcraft 3 spell, you know what I mean? Like, it looks like a golden, I don't know, sparkle ball going across the screen. It just looks a little bit funny. Anyways. Should be coming up on the right side of the screen any second now. There it is, the Tectonic Destabilizers. Props to those of you who got it, because I actually forgot about it for a second, so. The Tectonic Destabilizers. The most underused upgrade in the game, probably, but it's... Well, actually, no. There's probably some Terran upgrades that are even more underused. Like the building armor upgrade and stuff. Although, that's not even what it's called anymore. Either way, you'll see in just a second when a Tempest attacks what it looks like. Yeah, you see that? The golden balls? Those do not feel like StarCraft spells to me, man. Did he just destroy his own Disruptors? He did. So the Disruptors right there were just... In case, I guess, there would have been a ground-based army for the Zerg. Speaking of ground-based units, Chitinous Plating is done. Ultralisks are going to be added into the mix as well. There's a couple of Brute Lords here too. Vipers, Infestors, Queens, Spore Crawlers. Alright. So the first 13 minutes of this game have honestly been pretty passive, right? Yeah, look at this. Resources lost-wise, considering the amount of economy and amount of army that both of these players have, it is pretty passive. Alright, so let's talk about the base layout real quick here on Blackburn, right? So... Okay, maybe it could kill this base at the 12 o'clock position. In general, though, I think that the 12 o'clock position right here... I do think that that is a base that the Zerg is probably going to be able to take, as well as the 6 o'clock. So, generally speaking in the late game, depending on how well the Zerg player controls it, it is going to be slightly in favor of the Protoss as far as, like, trading armies go. Right? Meaning that Protoss will usually take more cost-efficient trades, unless Zerg micros really well. What that means is that if both players mine the same amount of bases, Protoss will probably win. However, on this particular map, on Blackburn, I feel like, yeah, these bases, the ones that Protoss have, or has right now, they make a lot of sense, right? It makes sense that they have all of those expansions taken right now. I don't think there's a whole lot that Zerg can do to debate that. However, the 6 o'clock is going to be very far out there. I feel like this is something Zerg can acquire. And the same can be said for the one at the 12 o'clock position. Also, it's going to be pretty much out of reach here for the Protoss. If Zerg gets 2 additional expansions out and then starts fighting, I feel like that might very well allow Rex to get the advantage here in the long run. Now, this is what I was talking about earlier. This is cool. So, we have a lot of Spore Crawlers setting themselves up outside of the gold base. The Queens are here. The rest of the Zerg army is here as well. The Brute Lords are apparently going to be sieging this gold base. And there's not a whole lot that Knights can do about it at this point, right? I mean, ooh, if the Revelation is down... Okay, Queen's right there with the Transfuse. If the Revelation is down, those Tempests can deal some damage. But otherwise, I think that those Brute Lords are going to have a very hard time getting anything done. Protoss also needs to be careful that they don't overextend right here with these Tempests, because then obviously the Abductions can come in. Yep. And that's a dead Tempest. Good feedbacks right here, though, by the High Templar, but this is really wonderful moving right here by Rex. He's got himself an entire extra base that his opponent is never really going to be able to acquire, and it seems to me right now that he's getting rid of the Golden Expo right here of Nice. The banks right now also heavily in favor of the Zerg player, which is awesome for him. Oh, he's actually using the Vipers, or sorry, the Spore Crawlers right now for energy for the Vipers. Brute Lords going around the site, trying to harass the golden mineral line. Transfusions just barely saved that Brute Lord right there in time. Alright. So this looks really good for the Zerg. By the way, look at what both players have built up in just 16 minutes of time, right? If you compare this to like what people used to do in Wings of Liberty and stuff, it's crazy. Basically, the entire map is taken at the 16-minute mark. In Wings of Liberty, we would still be sitting at our, you know, natural expansion at this stage in the game, pretty much. It's kind of awesome. Alright, so how many queens are we on? 15. Yeah, so he's just accumulating enough energy right here on these queens to constantly transfuse these units back up, okay? Got himself the assimilation right there, the neural parasite on the Oracle, so that means the Oracle will go down. Couple of Banelings trying to go and hit those High Templar as well. Ooh, they almost even did. Ultralisk moves forward right now as well. It looks like all of a sudden Rex has decided that he wants to play this a little bit more aggressively. Gets a couple of nice abductions as well. Although if you want to play this aggressively, don't you want to go for the killing right here of these debris? Only 2 Brute Lords have gone down, by the way, during all of this. That's kind of nuts. Very little army here in general has gone down, man. Huh. So, this seems like a scary position for Nice to be in. Not only is he an entire base behind, he's also not really mining from this expansion right now, right? So he's got basically 2 bases less than his opponent. Plus, I mean, the bank and the amount of workers that he's got is also not looking that healthy for him. The Shadow Stride research coming up in the Dark Shrine, so maybe he can try and blink past some of those units, but don't forget that Spore Crawlers are also detectors. So Spore Crawlers are gonna be pretty good anyways. Eventually, after about a 7-minute long battle, the Nexus does go down. A couple of Spore Crawlers get picked off as well. Both players just trying to get as many upgrades here as they can, making their armies as powerful as they possibly can as well. We do have double cybernetic score, but he's already got the +3 flyer, actually. Okay. Didn't realize it was already done. Thought he was forgetting it. Not bad at all. Those water balloons right here, once the +3 finishes, those water balloons that the High Templar throw are going to be extra powerful. I actually don't know. Yeah, I'm assuming they get +3 damage. They should. So now they deal 4 damage, I guess? Maybe 3.5? It deals so little damage. It's insane. Alright, gold base is being reacquired right here. Looks like Rex is going to try and continue this same adventure that he's now been doing over at the gold base. At the one right here a little bit further down south. Okay, abductions once again. Grabs a couple of the units. Very wonderful control here so far, though, by Rex. I'm actually very impressed. What are the actions per minute at? Okay. You can see that the Zerg player is playing quite a bit faster right here than our Protoss. He doesn't really have that many workers, though, in general. So it's mostly, I guess, the gas limitation that he has. I mean, this is a very inefficient way of mining this gas, guys, I suppose, but 5 or so workers would probably do the trick. Look at this bad boy. Going old. Really? You guys are returning gas like that? Fantastic. I know the action should be right here on the Tempest going to town, but I actually love the Tempest usage, though. I still feel like that is one of the most underused things in the game. Oracles together with Tempest against this mass spore crawler based army, they deal so much damage. Less carriers, more Tempest, man. Look at Brenda over here, shooting some of those needles of hers on the probes. All right, now the rocks will go down. No way to reconstruct those. Well, that's funny, isn't it? Looks like I found my thumbnail image, boys. Oftentimes I'm thinking, okay, what kind of... Hold up, let me... I know there's other things going on, but... There you go. I got it. I got it. We can bring back the scoreboard now. Oftentimes I have a hard time figuring out what I want to put on the thumbnail, but I think that looked pretty good. That was, yeah. Queens hitting the probes at the golden minerals. Uncommon! Okay. Nice moves right there by Nice. I mean, he's got it in his name, right? Man, I make so many unintentional puns here. I really try not to, but I know it gets very obnoxious very fast, but a couple of ultras go down. But at the very least, he grabs a couple of those Void Rays in return as well. I'm starting to be a little bit concerned for the Protoss here. And I say that even though the Protoss is maxed out with Skytools units, and he's got 15,000 resources in the bank. This is like true two billionaires right here flexing their yachts, and one of them is just bigger. You know what I mean? Like, Rex has the bigger yacht. The problem is that his yacht is made out of Zerg units. You know, there's like a hole somewhere on the yacht. It's tricky because his anti-air is just based around units that you can very easily mess up. Like, basically, his yacht requires like 17 helpsmen to control all at once. There's like, you know, 17 cooks trying to stir the pot here. It's very easy to accidentally mess it up. If you're dark, it's pretty straightforward. Either way, Nice is moving forward. 6 o'clock position, by the way, acquired right here by... How? Oh, there's a drop alert. Okay, I was gonna say, how do you even acquire this? There's no Nidus Worm. Look at the drones over here trying to break through the rocks as well. Ultras don't have a chance because the drones are too thick. I thought for a second this drone just magically spawned here, but okay, that expansion will be acquired. And this is what I was talking about. Look, this is gonna be so tough right now because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bases for the Protoss, which is a lot, but we are going up to 8 right here for the Zerg. Okay, now this is important. Nice denying this one is really critical. Grabs a couple of carriers. Well done. A couple of the Zerglings, actually. Oh, you know what? Zerglings, parasitic bombs, fungal growths. Ultra moving forward right now as well. These High Templar will be killed. Nice is forced to disengage. That was some beautiful movement right here by Rex. Great control. Although I would love to see him max out again. He's sitting at a massive bank, but not a maxed out army. Guess he's too busy microing those units. Trying to actually follow up right now with the with the, well, I guess also the Vipers, but also the Corruptors. Trying to just pick off the weakened, like, Void Rays here. Parasitic Bombs and Prismatic Alignments are activated. Looks like the Void Rays should try and kill all of this, but there's just too many Corruptors available at this point in the game, and Nice is losing a ton of his Skytools units. Okay, Queen's available, Transfusions once again. I am very impressed with the way that Rex is playing this. Like, again, I try and not be biased in my casts, but I've tried doing this many times before. I'm decent at the game, but Nice is doing a far better job than I can. Alright, I do think he's maybe overextending a little bit, though, because there's a lot of Void Rays just about to spawn out of the Stargates. And indeed, now the Stalker warping coming up as well. Remember that Nice has been upgrading those Stalkers here for a long time as well, so they are +3. So that means they deal a lot of damage here. Leftover Corruptors still trying to go to town right here on whatever they can. All of the shield batteries seem to be without energy. So Rex is trying to break through this position right now, and it looks like this Nexus may be in some trouble. Yeah. I think that was a bit of an overextension there by Rex. That was a very expensive set of units to lose. And now he's forced to remake them. Now, don't get me wrong. He's had, obviously, that extra base. He's once again trying to acquire the 6. But yeah, resource lost-wise, that was a pretty good fight right there for our Protoss player. But I think that should ultimately still lead to an advantage for the Zerg just because he's had that extra expansion. Protoss is starting to run out of money, by the way, at this point. Other than the bank that he's got. There's not that much money remaining. The top left still has some money in it. But we're getting to the point where these expansions are starting to run low. Those Stalkers, man. They just 3-shot one of the Ultras. Yeah, I don't think you can fight this Nice. Or, sorry, Rex. Stalkers are actually very powerful with these upgrades that they've got. Ultras just simply have a hard time engaging them. Now, Zerglings are going to be a little bit better. Yeah, I don't mind the idea of Zerglings. Zergling Fungal Growth. There you go, Fungal. One Fester, though, had to pay for this with its life. Follow-up Fungal as well. Yeah. So when the units have Fungal Growth on them, they can't use Blink. In general, basically, like when a unit is fungaled, they can't use their movement ability. So the same goes for, like, for example, battle cruisers, right? When they get there's like a bunch of units in the game that basically get interrupted with their movement spells when a fungal is on top of them. Alright, with the 6 o'clock secured, apparently Rex has decided to now continue this fight once again. He still has 1,000,001 Spore Crawlers. He's got 78 Spores, are you kidding me? 100 Spore Crawlers apparently is the name of the game, man. It's very difficult for the Protoss player to move out. To be fair, though, this expansion is not that worthwhile anymore, right? Because there's really no mining here anyway. Although I guess just having the position on the map is nice. Being able to push the creep forward in that direction is good, but I do think it's important not to get too carried away right here, trying to trade loads of resources. Killing a Nexus here, that doesn't really achieve anything. But I guess if you take control of this area of the map as Zerg, the 6 o'clock position will be much easier to defend. It's going to be hard for the Protoss to go around it. APM-wise, we're slowly moving up in the world. Rex apparently approaching the 500 average. 278 right now for Nice. But yeah, look, it's about time we start getting rid of the workers and replace leftover probes, exactly, with attacking units instead. So there's a lot of workers available right now that are basically wasted. Zerg still has a bunch of mineral patches to mine, but not for that much, not for that much longer either. So there's this dance going on, right? It's a lot of free Spore Crawlers, though. He's got enough Tempest right now to one-shot most of these. Okay. Killed his own Oracle there on accident. Not exactly what you're hoping for. Zerg actually coming in from the side right now, trying to hit the Banelings right here on top of all the High Templar. High Templar gets surrounded, and Rex gets a huge lead there. Beautiful moves right there by the Zerg player, although... Yep, now finally he manages to break through this position. Oh my god. The Ultras and the Banes coming in from the side, blowing up not only the High Templar, but also most of the static defense. Very nicely done. His bank is starting to be a problem, though. Like, he's no longer maxed out. These armies, by the way, are real expensive, right? So if you look right here at the actual cost of the army in the top left corner, Neither player is capable of remaking their army after losing it, although Nice is a hell of a lot closer. Even though he's been mining so much less. Yeah, even though that trait looked phenomenal right there for the Zerg, resources-wise, we're starting to get to the point where Protoss actually is trading very, very efficiently. Nice also is very, like, gas limited mostly. So, like, yeah, this base or this army is heavy when it comes to, like, minerals, but mostly gas is what seems to be the limiting factor at this stage in the game for Protoss. Meaning that you can drop, you can drop and jump. I was trying to mix a couple words all together right there. You can drop, there you go. You can drop all of your minerals on static defense. A ton of spore crawlers, a ton of photon cannons and all that. Which is really nice. Wouldn't mind seeing a couple of zealot run-bys either, but I guess zealot run-bys are too supply heavy. Might be time to get rid of some of those probes over there, man. These players have been staring at their armies for the majority of the game. Those Tempests have been phenomenal, right? Makes you wonder why we don't see Tempests more often. I think Tempests are really good. Infestors can use Neural Parasite while burrowed. They cannot use Fungal Growth while burrowed. So if you see them sharking around the creep, keep that in mind. Once upon a time, they were able to use that while burrowed as well, but these days they no longer can. Yeah, the thing is, I guess if the Banelings trade with, like, photon cannons and shield batteries... Banelings obviously cost gas, shield batteries and photon cannons do not. So I guess that's a trait that Nice is okay with. Here once again, come the Banelings. They're hunting for the High Templar. A couple of the High Templar end up going down. Oh. This time around, not so lucky. Good control right there by Nice. Nice is doing a phenomenal job keeping the important units alive right now, though. He's playing this extremely patiently, right? It's very tempting to just army hotkey and attack move towards the other side of the map. But that is a huge critical error that I see all the time. You need to take this slowly. You need to try and pick off whatever you can. Get rid of the creep slowly but surely. It's gonna take you like 10 minutes, but it's the better approach. Couple of probes over here trying to get some work done as well. Yeah, this expansion is also done for, man. I think it's gonna come down between the two main armies. I think it's gonna be one big clash between the two armies, and whoever controls it better at that point in the game will probably end up securing the victory. If one set of, like, neural parasites go off, though, that would be absolutely fantastic. Although, obviously, Protoss can still, like, see where the neurals come from, even if they don't have detection. And High Templar, with their Sonic Storm, still deal damage to the Infestors, even while they are burrowed. Even if they don't have vision of it. So that's quite important to note. Even if, like, a couple of, you know, neurals come down. It's not like Protoss is completely without options. He does have an observer here somewhere, okay. I was gonna say, if he's only dependent on the oracles right here, that would not be great. Okay, good. Very nice pullback right there by Nice. Just try to pick off whatever he can. This should be a huge advantage, though, for the Zerg, right? I'm not sure. But, like, he's been mining 2 additional bases over the opponent. Yeah, that wasn't gonna happen. Ooh, okay. This actually makes sense. I think that Nice is planning on building up static defense over on this little high ground as well. Maybe then Nice can, like, use this as, like, a staging ground to go for the 6 o'clock base. I think he needs to try and grab this expansion before the Zerg mines it out. Because those are the last gases and last minerals on the map. The other bases are inaccessible for him. There's no way he's going to be able to grab those. There's still actually quite a lot of money in the other expansions, too. Might be time to send some of those gajillion spore crawlers you have to the 6 o'clock, my man. I don't think he's planning on fighting up north. I think you really do need him down here. Oh, well. I thought he was going to plant down... Okay. I thought he was going to plant down more, but it was only one pylon. Okay, there you go. That's a little bit better, yeah. Yeah. These Tempests are picking off whatever they can. Here, once again, do the Banelings come from the north, rather. The problem is, man, these Banelings, they cost a lot more than the static defense over here costs. Like the Protoss, relatively speaking, right? Like, Protoss doesn't care losing some minerals at this stage in the game, whereas Rex, at this point, he's out of gas. He just spent his final gas on 10 more Infestors, which is obviously good if you can get the Neural Parasites done, but... Okay, Parasitic Bomb. Good split right there. Very good split. Although, now he sends it back in. Hello. Nice. Okay. Splits off the perfect unit right away, and then he sent it back in. That was a little bit sloppy. Doesn't matter too much, though, because he only bruised the shields right there of these Protoss units that are going to be able to regenerate this over the course of the next minute or so. Actually, they're already done. The creep spread is out, so there's not that much room to plant down structures in anymore. But we are getting to the point, though, where these Tempests, yeah, are gonna be in range of the drones. And that's good. Pick off the tumor, please. I think you gotta get the tumor, man. No? Alright. So Revelations are only available for about 15 seconds, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, one Brute goes down. And because of this space over here, right? Because of this huge, like, whatever this monstrosity of a device is. Zerg can't really plant down a lot of Spore Crawlers over here. And without the Spores, it's gonna be real hard to engage this, yeah. Slow and steady wins the race, nice. How many High Templar are we on? 6? 11 Infestors. Okay, here we go, here we go, here we go. I think he's trying to get the Neural Parasites, although... Ooh, he grabs a couple of them. Storms still come down. All of the Infestors just got picked off in a heartbeat. Parasitic Bomb comes down as well, but beautiful control right there by Nice. Grabs the unit at the correct moment, and all of a sudden... Okay, that was a phenomenal engagement right there for the Protoss player. All of a sudden, the major spellcasters right there of the Zerg are gone. Probes have now begun long-distance mining this expansion over here as well. Rex no longer has got any minerals, but he also is out of gas. He's going for Queens right now, which obviously are spellcasters that don't cost any gas. But that was a really good trade right there for the Protoss player. One little misstep right there from Rex. Great control there by Nice. Super quickly recognizing what's going on, throwing the Revelation, storming down the units, target firing down with the carriers, and then splitting off the affected Void Race with the Parasitic Bomb on them, right? Like, that was some really good control right there by Nice, controlling those units perfectly. And now all of a sudden, even though the creep is still here, he's already taking the gases. And I'm assuming he wants to long distance mine them, or maybe even plant down a Nexus. I mean, he can. He definitely can. The Zerg does still have the top right and base, though, yeah. So there's still some gas in those remaining. 12 o'clock, or sorry, yeah, the 12 o'clock position is mined out at this point. The other bases, I think, are almost out as well. And you know what? If Nice actually manages to grab this expansion and mine from it, he's going to be able to get a much more powerful army. This is what Zerg wants to deny right now, but this high ground over here is going to make it very difficult to actually get a good engagement off. At this point, though, there's no static defense available yet for the Protoss player either. Good Psionic Storm there, good Fungal Growth as well. He moves back with the Corruptors for now. Parasitic Bombs. Yep, okay, on top of all of these units. So that was Fungal Growth plus Parasitic Bomb. And you can see the carriers don't really care, even though they're affected by it. Their shields are gone, but they still have the majority of their health remaining. Queens are running for their lives right now. And I think with Nice securing the 6 o'clock position, I think he managed to secure the win. I mean, there's still a lot of Corruptors remaining, but the problem is I don't see what you're gonna do against this, you know, Skytles-based army. Maybe this is a bit of an overextension, though, by Nice, but at this point, his army supply is just simply so much bigger than that of the Zerg. He's target firing down whatever he can, but GG is cold. And Nice ends up winning this long, drawn-out macro game on Blackburn LE. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, hit that like button down below. And if you want to see more, hit that subscribe button so you get notified as soon as future videos go live. For now, though, thanks for watching. Have an awesome day. Don't forget to smile. And I'll see you once again in the next one.